guys, my name's Kim and today we're going to be talking about Batman vs Superman, the movie review! Holy crap! I cannot believe that this movie is finally here and it exists. It feels like it's been a ghost for like 5 years and that the project has been in development for like 10 years. I cannot believe that it is finally here and it exists. And I was having this feeling in the cinema when I was watching it, just going, is this real? Like, am I actually here watching this? Oh, they're both on screen. I cannot believe it. Ah! So, today we're going to be talking about the movie as a whole. So this is going to be a big spoiler review. I ain't got no time for no spoilers. So this is going to be a very big spoiler review. If you guys haven't seen it, it's the weekend, so I don't know what the hell you're doing, but you need to go see it and come back. Give it all the money that it needs so we can continue this DC universe of films, okay? Go see it, come back, and then we can discuss. So far I have seen this film twice. So the second time I went to the cinema, I bought a popcorn combo because I wanted to have a memento from the film. So this cost me $15.50 Australian. That is just ridiculous. It's just a little bit less than an actual movie ticket, so thank you. But I mean, take my money, but seriously, come on, it's not even stainless steel. So I'm not gonna bother doing an overview of the plot because we all know what it's about. It's Batman and it's Superman. They're gonna fight in it, there's gonna be issues. Let's move forward from that. So you may have heard, or if you've seen this movie only once, that the plot and the editing is kind of weird. The pacing is a little bit all over the place. And it's true. The pacing is random and a whole lot of scenes feel like they're out of place and they shouldn't even be there. But I have to say, watching it a second time, it felt like it flowed a lot better. Probably because I went the first time and I was used to what it was going to be, and then I could watch the film and just be entertained. That's probably what I would say about going to see it a second time. So bearing this in mind, I did go check to see what had happened, and I realized that obviously they filmed a mammoth part of the film and they got it all set up, and then of course DC would tell Zack or whatever that they need to set up certain things, that they have this universe that they want to set up, so certain scenes need to be added in. Well, the script may have been changed and they needed to have different scenes to come in. So then they went away and filmed a whole lot of other scenes, put it back in. Then obviously the film was too long, so then they had to cut down the film again, and then parts were cut out, and it just felt like blah 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 blah. There was just a whole lot of random stuff happening that didn't quite fit. So, as I said, if you see it a second time, it feels a lot better. So the way I'm going to structure talking about this is I'm going to talk about the best things about this film that were like the most amazing things ever. Then we're going to talk about things that I didn't quite like about this film, and then talk about a few things that may have confused a lot of people and see if I can help make you understand, or have my understanding and have your understanding, and then we create some kind of theory together and whatevs. But what I'm also going to do is not talk a huge bit about the Justice League in this review, because I'm going to do a separate video talking about the Justice League predictions from this film. So I'll talk a little bit about it, but not a huge bit. So if you want to know a little bit more about the Justice League and what's happening in there, I'll probably talk about that in my next video. So let's talk about the best things. The best things in this film were Batman, holy crap, Wonder Woman, oh my god, and Lex Luther, just good. Batman was my favorite character in this film. Obviously we have Wonder Woman as well, but she wasn't in it enough for me to say she's my favorite character. Batman, hands down, favorite character. He was the best Batman, in my opinion, that I have ever seen. Batflick, FTW, just, you are the best. I absolutely loved you. The suit was so amazing. It was just the durability and the flexibility of it. All the Batmans we've seen before haven't been able to move very much. They've been like trapped in this suit. But he's so agile. He moves around. And the way that they set him up at the beginning when the two policemen were going into the raid to find these girls at the bottom of the basement and they'd been trapped, they didn't want to leave because this devil is around. They find this criminal has been branded with the bat symbol, and the policeman looks up and Batman's like on the roof and he like crawls away like some creepy demon. Was the best setup I have ever seen of Batman. I think that is just the way to do it, because he's supposed to strike fear into the hearts of people. So the way they did this was so exciting and I was so happy with it. They just good job. The Batman fight scenes in this were just phenomenal, amazing, and the amount of chemistry that Batman and Alfred had with each other was just so good. The banter and like the sassiness was just really exciting. And it's finally good to see an Alfred that's able to do a little bit more than just serve him tea and advice. I feel like this Alfred could really kick some ass if he needed to. Now there were so many amazing parts of Batman, but I think one of the coolest sections for me is when Batman was coming back from unfortunately failing to steal the kryptonite from Lex Luther, and he drives into the lake house and the lake opens up and he like drives the Batmobile down and we first see like the entrance of all of the Batcave and everything like that. Amazing. I just like was like, dude, you cool. You so freaking cool. So from this, I'm so pumped to see the solo Batman film. I'm so excited to see this. And though I'm saying Batman is my favorite character in this film, he was so much better than Superman, and this is saying something because I'm a Superman fan. I'm a hardcore legit Superman fan, and Superman disappointed me in this film. But we'll come back to that later. I'm going to talk about Superman much later in this review. But Batman was on point. Batman is the best thing about this freaking film. So good. Next up, I want to talk about Wonder Woman. In this film, Wonder Woman is spectacular. She will not disappoint you in any way or form. The only thing that was disappointing is that she wasn't in it more. But of course this is a Batman and Superman film, so she can't overstep them. But holy crap, I wish she did. Gal Gadot is just physical perfection. I had so many doubts about her, so many doubts, but she just threw them out the window. She has the height, she has the muscle, and I know a lot of people were talking about that she doesn't have massive boobs, but who cares? My god, massive boobs are so illogical for a fighting heroine. They just get in the way, they're so big and annoying, and that's one of the things that annoyed me about Wonder Woman, is that she was always drawn with these massive boobs. There's no point in having massive boobs. If you're quite muscly, your boobs actually aren't that big. You know, there's a lot of muscle happening rather than giant tits. So I was really excited that they just kept her normal boobs. It's just so perfectly proportionate to her costume, which was amazing. And her lasso, woo! Now the Wonder Woman fight between Doomsday was just spectacular. I believed everything she did. Everything. My eyes were glued to the screen. There was no blinking happening at all. And when we saw that picture, the picture from 100 years ago with Wonder Woman and Steve Trevor, we saw Chris Pine there, I was like, ah! And I have to say that the music, Wonder Woman's theme, brought tears to my eyes. That was like the best theme. The best theme. I gotta find it. We gotta play it. I'm dying! Lex Luther. A lot of people said that they do not like Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luther in this film. I have to freaking disagree. I loved him in this film. I thought he was so good and amazing. There were some parts which were a little bit over the top, but mostly I was like, I have no problems with you. Literally none. I think pairing this with that Lex Luther theme, Hans Zimmer, you're killing me. You're literally destroying me. Was so good. We gotta play Lex Luthor's theme right now. Let's go. Just the best. The best. When he started walking into the alien ship and we saw only his legs with this theme, in theme with the steps, I was like, oh my god, this is so good. I loved it. Every time he came on screen with this theme song, I was grinning from ear to ear, and this has to mean that I loved him. It has to mean that I loved him. I think physically, he really reminded me of the Lex Luthor from Superman Birthright. I could see little bits of his personality sort of seeping through as well. In Birthright, he was quite psychotic, and he would just completely randomly, you know, go off like in these psychotic episodes, which I think sort of suited Superman Birthright for me, which I thought was really cool because I actually really liked, that was probably my favorite rendition of Lex, was Superman Birthright comic. So I really liked that he was very, very similar to this one. So if you haven't read it, I would suggest reading this. It might make you feel a bit more comfortable with Jesse Eisenberg's Lex. Though there was some bits at some times where he was a little bit too insane. They kind of could have toned that down a tiny, tiny bit. and then played up the god complex that Lex Luther has a little bit more. But overall, I really, really loved him. And at the end, his head was being shaved. I was like, ah, good, 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 good. I cannot wait for this. Yes, thank you. Before I go into things that I didn't quite like, I just want to talk about a few other amazing things that I loved about this film. Obviously, this film was visually perfect. Zack Snyder knows how to do visuals, and visuals were perfection in this film. Absolutely amazing. I'm talking the amazing costumes, the fights, and the choreography. Even the CGI I loved. Like, a lot of people didn't like Doomsday, and that brings me to the next point. Doomsday. I freaking love Doomsday in this. It was so good. I loved it. A lot of people were saying that the CGI in this was stupid, but I thought it was amazing. I absolutely loved it. And that whole nuclear scene was just like amazing, when Superman was literally rotting and he was then getting healed by the yellow sun and Doomsday started growing the white horns out of the back. I was like, more horns, go, go, go. Now we're going to talk about some of the more disappointing things in this film, and I've now come to terms with what they are, because I had the same feeling after watching Man of Steel and feeling like very disappointed after it. I had the same exact feeling with this film, and now I finally know what it is, and it is Superman. Superman in this film, in this universe, I just don't like him. I do not like him at all. I do not like this rendition of Superman. I just cannot get behind him. Henry Cavill obviously is the physical perfection of Superman. He's amazing, but he is just a cardboard cutout of Superman. He has no personality, he's completely emotionless, and if I was going to basically describe his character, like that's what I thought. I thought, everyone knows who Superman is, everyone knows his personality, but let's just throw that out the window for a moment. Let's pretend that this is the first Superman, or the only Superman rendition we've ever seen. And this is him. Describe him. Describe his personality without talking about his physical characteristics, the fact that he's an alien or anything like that. Just talk about his personality. Go. Well, he's, stoic? Wrong superhero. There needs to be a divide between Superman and Batman, and there is no divide. They're basically the same character. Well, Batman's better than Superman in this. It's pretty obvious to say so. But Superman has no personality. He's emotionless. And if I was going to, you know, put him with a character, I'd say he's very, 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 very similar to Watchmen's Dr. Manhattan. He's basically an emotionless alien. No one cares about that. No one wants to sympathize with that. And if we look at Zack Snyder's Watchmen, almost that exact same situation is happening in Batman vs Superman. So I just can't deal with that. I can't accept that. The fact that he's so emotionless and has no personality. Superman has to have a personality. He can't just be this stoic person, because the way that he was being portrayed in this film, especially with the imagery, made me very frightened of him. I was frightened of Superman. I was all for, you know, Batman. I couldn't, and it's a shame. It's a shameful thing for me to say. I've never ever in my life been afraid of Superman in any comic. But I was afraid of him in these films. He's physically frightening in the imagery that they were showing him, being like a god and everyone's like praying to him, and especially that really creepy statue, that giant statue of him just like standing there with his hand. I couldn't deal with it. I just don't like Superman in this universe. And that's saying something, because he's half of this film. So if you don't like Superman and Man of Steel, and you feel the same as me, then this is why you're going to be disappointed in this film. Everything else is amazing, it's just Superman is not. And obviously Superman and Clark Kent are supposed to be two different personalities. The reason that there's a divide between them is because it's a disguise. Clark Kent is a disguise, but in this film they're exactly the same person, exactly the same. Superman and Clark Kent have exactly the same personality, they look exactly the same, they don't even bother to change Henry Cavill's hair, all they do is just shove some glasses on him and that's it. That's not right. That's not how you do it, but that's how they did do it. So unfortunately, that for me was a big, giant disappointment. Superman is a huge disappointment in this universe. I've grown to accept that now. I know why I didn't like Superman and why this franchise is disappointing me, it's because of Superman. So if you understand that and you can get past that, you can get excited for the rest of the universe. Obviously, I'm so excited for everything besides Superman, which sucks, but it's what we've been given and what we've got to deal with. Another thing I really disliked in this was Lois Lane. I just don't like Amy Adams as Lois Lane. I tried so hard to like her, but I just cannot. She's just there, and she's quite annoying. Lois Lane isn't always a damsel in distress. There are some times where she needs to be saved, but this film was just full of her needing to be saved. And I hate that about Lois Lane. I hate it. You can't make her like that. That's what they did. She's just constantly being saved, and it's just really, really annoying. You know, it doesn't need to be like that, but they made it like that, which kind of sucks. So honestly, I just don't care about these characters. I don't care about Lois Lane. I don't care about Superman / Clark Kent. They have no chemistry with each other that I can see that's exciting or anything. They're just boring cardboard cutouts of characters. So that's that for me. I cannot sympathize with them. Whatever. The only good thing about Superman in this film is that after the Doomsday fight, he did die. So I'm glad that they kept quite true to the comics with this, and they went down the Death of Superman route. Obviously at the end we saw the dirt rising, so Superman's gonna be alive. There's no issues there. But I'm really glad that they did sort of end that with Superman dying. That needed to happen. If it didn't happen, I'd be even more angry. But that's all I have to say about Superman and Lois. I can't like them. So lastly, let's talk about the confusing things that were happening. There's a lot of confusing things in this film that obviously if you're seeing it for the first time only, it would be confusing. But watching it a second time, you can sort of like watch it and understand a bit more. So the most confusing things obviously would be the dream sequences, and then we had a character, which if people don't know, it was the Flash, come through and talk to Bruce Wayne through the Speed Force or whatever they were using there. So I thought, obviously, the first time watching it, I knew it was the Flash because that had come out of the Speed Force to talk to Bruce. Because, like, it can't be anyone else, and it's pretty obvious that was Ezra Miller. You could see his face, so you just have to put two and two together. The scene was long enough for you to just watch it and be like, what is happening? Who is that? Okay, so you can understand sort of a bit about what's happening. I thought either A, they're setting up something for the Justice League, or B, they're setting up something for Flash's own solo movie. So, did it have to be there? That is the big issue here, but after looking at a lot of different things online and sort of understanding, I think the top theory at the moment, which I have to agree with, is pretty sound, but there are some flaws with it. The main dream sequence was the Fallout one. The Fallout world that we saw it was a post-apocalyptic type world where Superman was reigning supreme, and we saw parademons. Those were Darkseid's parademons. It is pretty obvious that it was that. So the fact that Batman had this dream and he was dreaming about these parademons, why would he be dreaming about this if he doesn't know anything about Darkseid? So this theory that I was looking at, and I forgot who said it, so I'm sorry, whoever, but was that the Flash had actually given Batman this dream, because this is the world that would have happened if Batman had killed Superman with the Kryptonite Spear. So if he had killed him, obviously Superman would stay dead, he would awaken, but then his mother would have died. And one of Superman's main quotes in this scene, in this post-apocalyptic Fallout scene, is that she was my world and you took her from me. So if we're relating that to his mother, then his mother had died in this world. Though originally I thought it could be something to do with Lois, and it looked very Injustice-like. Like they were going down some sort of injustice route, but we don't know what's happening there. So the fact that he's talking about his mother does make more sense, and that Flash was coming back from this universe to tell Batman that Lois is the key. So Lois is the one that kind of connected the dots for Batman when he was fighting Superman about when Superman started talking about his mother, Martha Kent, that he has to save Martha. He needs to save Martha. So connecting this together, saying that the Flash was coming back from this universe, this post-apocalyptic universe, coming back to Bruce and saying that Lois is the key, though he could have just said don't kill him, but I mean, you know, it needs to be a bit more complicated. So the fact that Flash is coming back and giving Batman this dream makes a lot more sense in terms of this theory, because if we're thinking about looking at this post-apocalyptic future, there are Darkseid parademons there, which means that the Justice League was never formed, so Darkseid has taken over this world. So though I am going to do a Justice League video pretty soon, it's very obvious that Darkseid will be the main villain in the Justice League. I mean, that's pretty much set, I think, from what we've seen in this film. So I think that's all I want to talk about in this movie. There's obviously so much more I want to talk about, and I think I'm going to crush it down into my next Justice League video that I will do. Overall, I give this film probably a 7.5 out of 10. Obviously, it was all fantastic except for Superman, and Superman is a big part of this film, so it's not going to be a very high rating, you know, 8 or 9 out of 10, but it's not a bad film. It is not a bad film. It's not a fantastic film, but it is not a bad film. It's still a good film. In my opinion, it is still a good film, and I would give it a 7.5 out of 10. I highly recommend seeing it more than once because you get more of a feel for the story, and you can notice things that you maybe may not have noticed before, and you can understand things a little bit better. So what did you guys think about the film? Leave a comment below. I want to hear exactly what you thought about the film so we can have a discussion, because it is the film of the century. Even if it's not the best film of the century, it is literally the film. It is Batman and Superman in a film. This has never happened. This is comic book history. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you very soon. Goodbye.